So, best of 5, like I said, in the top left, as the Red Terran, he is LabyRinth.
And in the bottom left, the blue Zerg player, it's Soulkey.
Alright, so, yeah, TvZ on this map is pretty fleshed out, like, you know what's gonna happen most of the time. So you have very common Roach Ravager push, that usually starts like a one-base pool too, pool first. And then you just push on top of this ramp and hope to kill bunker to a couple SCVs that are repairing. Super popular. For the Terran side, they're almost always going to go for the tank drop, so both they can defend against this Roach Ravager push potential, but also so that they don't tank drop harass. They actually push this little ledge with 2 tanks and a handful of unupgraded Marines, and that can actually be very hard for the Zerg to defend against in turn.
Yeah, the other thing that I think I've seen a couple of times, I don't know how common it is, but I have seen a lot of the Zerg players just go for like those Nidus Worm plays as well. Nidus Worm slash like Overlord dropping the roaches alongside the queens, not just pushing it at the front.
The Overlord drops that are so popular on this map versus Protoss can also be very, very good versus Terran. We've seen like people trying 1 base against it, we see 2 base against it, and I think we've seen it twice and they both died or turned into a very, very weird base trade. I can't remember.
It has 100% win rate, Zombie Grub. It's imbalanced.
Yeah, totally. From what we've seen, absolutely.
That's all that matters.
LabyRinth actually going to play pretty safe here. Going to go for a command center on the high ground. No, he isn't scouted at all. But like I was saying, it's pretty popular to do a pull first on this map and then lead into those roaches. So he might be afraid that Soulkey gets two lings and maybe dodges out the Reaper. The chance of that is pretty low though, just because it's arena. There's like one pathway. The Reaper should see everything.
Yeah, at the same time, though, you were talking about how those Roach Ravager pushes are so common. What do you think about the fact that LabyRinth is this wall-in looks like he's setting up to build a reactor or something over by that wall-in, which is always one of the most vulnerable points if you try and go for that.
Well, hopefully he doesn't just stay on this, command center on the high ground, Like, to build it here, you're afraid that Ling's gonna chip out your SCV. That's a fine fear, although not ideal. But he's really hoping to defend against the Roach Ravager on the natural. If his natural is broken, he's already kind of in a bad place.
Well, Reaper's doing some nice damage. Managed to kill off a Zergling and force out a couple more. Of course, the Roach Warren is going to be going down for Soulkey, so there's a very good chance he's going to be doing exactly that kind of aggression that you were talking about earlier on. But we got LabyRinth going up to a really fast starport, getting out a Widowmine. Widowmines, they can do okay. It's like gradually chipping away at some of those roaches, but they really just don't have the consistent quick DPS that you really need to prevent those roaches from just constantly moving in and taking out all your shit.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know if I like this. Now, it will provide some counter damage, so it might draw some roaches back to deal with it, but I don't know if that's really going to be worth. We'll see. Soulkey is getting the roaches, and you don't really have to get a lot of roaches. Like, really just a pressure, not really an all-in. If you see an opportunity, like, if they don't have a bunker, then maybe you get 6 roaches and you actually walk past everything, but...
He doesn't have a bunker right now. He's seen the roaches now and has some SCVs over the natural that really should be investing their time, I think, into building a bunker at the natural.
It's a little dangerous. Like this roach actually going to try and stop the Reaper from coming through. But there are those Ravagers that he made. I mean, almost in secret. Like, he made them back here. Usually they don't really care. They just make them right here. But maybe a little worried that those Marines would have pounced on him. Again, this isn't a lot of units. It's key units that can do a lot of damage with Corrosive Bile, but that's only dependent on the Overlord. So the Widowmine being used defensively is not so bad, but it's really also the Marines being used defensively is just barely going to be enough. And there's that tank.
Oh, yeah. Already taking out the Widowmine is really nice, though. The tank, of course, as you were saying, gotta make use of those medevac siege shanks as long as you can.
Yeah, until they're nerfed. A couple of Lings actually reinforced this. I think Soulkey, well, he had 6 Lings anyways, so just bring them over if you see an opportunity. And they're not Speedlings. He's not getting speed at all yet. So very common on this map is to go for the roaches, yeah, but then follow up with a Spire and then back into roaches, just to ensure that the tanks and the medevacs have some counter, because again, like I said, they're going to siege up over here, which is going to be abusive against roaches. But Soulkey instead went for the 3rd base. And doesn't have a lot to deal with this. Liberator joining in too.
Well, Reaper gets taken out. Seachank sieging up in a pretty nice spot over here. LabyRinth really going to be able to put some pressure on, but I feel like this is just pressure. It's not like the big attack that's looking to actually end this game. He is actually getting some nice Ravager kills as well, though.
Yeah. And the game, yeah, not so much, but certainly gets something done. If this was simply overwhelmed and the tanks all die too, then it's actually LabyRinth who really messed up. So he needs to save that tank for sure.
Yeah, he can let the Marines die, and yeah, he's doing actually a pretty good job taking out as much as he can, and he escapes with the Seachank, he escapes with the Medevac. Those are the units that actually cost gas and are harder to replace. And he forces out quite a few units. You can see that Soulkey really only on 44 drones, and it's pretty much even worker counts for both these players, but third expansion finally gets started up for LabyRinth behind all this.
Yeah. The income has been just kind of like back and forth, so they're both doing okay. Following up with a second tank, however, this is like, it gets increasingly dangerous, you know, as the larva starts kicking in and maybe their tech starts kicking in. To actually continue pushing here is a little scary.
Yeah, I think LabyRinth is going to realize that, especially since, you know, if he overcommits a little bit too much over there, he only has one medevac to pick up one of the siege tanks that he brought, and he brought two of them, so he doesn't really want to risk losing them.
What are you doing over here? Widowmine, please. I guess that Widowmine's going to walk into the third. Kind of funny, but that's only if LabyRinth remembers he has it. Slowlings break down these rocks. Speedlings almost always worth getting, so actually getting that speed behind this. We'll see what that layer is for. Tank drops on top of those lings. Okay, there we go. The Widowmine joins. Yeah, you go, buddy. Gets one ling. Okay.
Nice control out of Soulkey. Not going to let too much happen over there. But yeah, LabyRinth is just going to be keeping Soulkey on the back foot, constantly forcing him to make as many units as possible. Obviously only sitting on 50-ish drones right now. Has more drones coming as he goes, and is trying to get up a Spire so that he can finally deal with some of this medevac harassment. But behind this, we do have LabyRinth getting up all of his siege tanks, getting up his double engineering base, and really just preparing for the later stages of the game.
Yeah, he does for third CC. He's going to have all his upgrades timing out here. This double tank drop also has an abusive position over here, which he was trying to abuse. Already got a queen from it. This is all like why you do see the quick follow-up of the Spire a lot of the times. But Soulkey's not doing terrible defense without the Spire, and it is on the way. So you can finally clean up this Viking, too, which is already up to 3 Overlord kills, despite being in the heat of the action. You think the queens would have already taken care of it.
Yeah, I think there are a decent number of those Overlords out on the map right now, but Spire gonna be finishing up pretty soon, and it looks like the medevacs are gonna be backing off almost just in time. Also shutting down some of that creep spread. This is a map that is, let me tell you something, Zerg players hate getting the creep spread going on this map because it feels so pointless.
Yeah. The push is actually quite something. I don't know if Soulkey's gonna be able to deal with it. He does have this choke on his side for now, but the tanks are also abusing that. So if Soulkey ever tries to push in, this is where mutas can be very, very helpful to start picking up here, forcing the pickup, actually picking them off, all good things. Dodge the corrosive biles. There's not much fodder left over for these Ravagers.
Yeah, this is a bit of a dangerous spot for LabyRinth also, because if he ever tries to push in, then he's going to have a very difficult time moving back out. But we got a Zergling run by on the other side of the map. LabyRinth does have some units back at home that should be able to defend this okay. Loses a couple of workers, but nothing too significant.
Yeah. There we finally have some mutas, so able to buy time for them is going to be really helpful with the tanks in the backside. He's also going to be behind in upgrades as LabyRinth's 1-1 is going to finish up here, but that's something he's going to have to live with.
Ooh. Well, more Zerglings going for the run by. I really like that Soulkey has knocked down those rocks earlier on because this really does open up this opportunity for attack. Unfortunately, I think LabyRinth, again, he's not really reinforcing the attack, which I guess is a win in and of itself, right? You know that your opponent's not going to be moving with more stuff. And there are some great corrosive bile shots.
Yeah, LabyRinth was not paying attention for 1 second. His tanks were also under siege. This one's actually going to go down after killing 1 or 2 more Ravagers. The Roach counts is depleted because of that attack. Actually, Roach is over here. Going to maybe get on top of that tank? Not quite. No. But his 4th base might just be forfeit. He's not prepared for this. This is going to go down. This is going to get sniped. Well, it should be.
No, I mean, he's doing a good job zoning out over here. The Marines will be able to clean that up, I think. The Siege Tank's already doing a lot of damage to these Roaches, or sorry, the Ravagers and the Zerglings. And, oh, good Corrosive Bile's going down. Actually, he may just be able to save this.
Yeah, I don't know. Soulkey desperately wants to save it. He does get the last tank. He's going to go for the snipe at the last seconds. Might cost him all of his units, however. He saves the Medivacs, which isn't bad. But I think maybe if he just focus fired it in the very beginning, he would have been able to do better. Soulkey's going to try and counter here. That's not a lot of units to counter with.
Oh, boy. Not a lot of units to counter with, but I would actually say LabyRinth also doesn't exactly have that many units. He has a couple of Siege Tanks and everything, but his Siege Tank count, he lost a lot of them in that engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought maybe he was going to actually just go away from tank production, but he does have a second factory and another tank on the way. Because after a point, your pure bio with upgrades can take on Roach Ravager. But no, that's not going to depend entirely on that yet. He's only going up to 2 weapons, which might give an opportunity for Soulkey to catch up in those upgrades. But actually attacks without the Roaches covering his Ravagers. LabyRinth has a pounce on it. Doesn't do so poorly, especially if he gets out.
Yeah. Mules are also still trying to get some damage done over at that natural expansion, at least pulling some of the units back, but another couple of Ravagers being made over here. Soulkey wants to continue this aggression. He wants to say, like, hey, you killed off my 4th expansion. I need to at least do some damage to your 3rd or something. Yeah,
and that 4th base is going to become quite a problem for Soulkey unless he puts it down right here, right now, but he might just be looking to all in here. Ooh. I don't think it's going to work. There's a lot of tanks, a lot of bio left over, a lot of Medivacs, too. Yeah, that's it. GG.
GG.
LabyRinth, hey.
Our up-and-comer taking a game off of a legend like Soulkey.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, that was the default map in the Olimoleague. And then it's going to be loser's choice. So maybe that affected Soulkey there. That's what the map is. Oh, he knows. Soulkey's been doing enough Olimoleague to know to message me. Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty interested to see how game number 2 goes. Because, again, it's like you were saying, you know, Olorita, pretty weird map and everything. But I have got to say that we ended up seeing a really, really nice bit of, I guess, defense against, like, whatever early Ravager pressure came out from Soulkey. Granted, it wasn't really, really intense Ravager pressure, but Ravager pressure nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next one's going to be Lairlet Crest. So, I mean, you can do a Roach pressure. Roach pressure is almost always good. And you do still want to go into Roaches in general in this map, too. Mm-hmm. But you can kind of sneak in a Muta build once or twice. And they're ready to go. And it is 1-0 in favor of LabyRinth. So this guy down here is down 1. He's the red Zerg, Soulkey.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the purple Terran player. It's LabyRinth.
Thank you, Meat Brawl, for resubbing 3 months in a row.
You know, when you say down 1, it kind of actually makes it sound like you're saying Dongwon. And it makes it sound like you're talking about Hydra.
Yeah, Hydra. I'm going to do that next time Hydra's down 1. He's down 1.
He's down 1, it's Dongwon.
Yeah. So this Lairlet Crest, you know, all spawn possible, and this is going to be horizontal spawns, which means it should be a very action-packed TvZ. Even if it is diagonal, it can still be action-packed, because it's kind of a small map, you know, just in general. But especially in these positions, we do often see the 2-base attack from Terran, because Lairlet Crest doesn't do well for 3-base immediately anyways. And Roaches from Soulkey. If Soulkey tries to go up to Mutas first, LabyRinth could kill him before they're really prepared with that 2-base attack. And that's usually why we see the Roaches, at least initially, or early enough Mutas that they're already attacking LabyRinth before he's ready. So basically a 2-base Muta.
Yeah, if we're going to be seeing those early Roaches, some of the things to keep an eye out for is how many gas or how many drones I think Soulkey leaves in that gas geyser after he gets up that Zergling speed, which he should be able to get up started relatively quickly. But also, where does LabyRinth set up that nice little defense of the natural expansion? Because, you know, when you're dealing with the Roach Ravager pressure, depending on where you place your bunkers, how you have your units positioned, like where your wall in, supply depots, and everything, like that can all make a really, really big difference because the placements can sometimes lead to roaches and ravagers having really, really nice, easy pickoffs on units.
This Reaper not gonna get too much done. We do have a factory follow-up right next to the reactor, so, I mean, if he goes for Hellions, it'll be surprising, honestly, but it is possible. I really expect the tank production to start immediately, so you could have that follow-up 2-base push, but we'll see. The Reaper actually doesn't get a scout, which a lot of Terran players just... I don't know what it is. They don't worry about scouting much anymore with the Reaper. It's so tempting to get those kills with the grenades that very rarely do they actually go in for the suicidal scout.
You know, I really like the transition that a lot of Terran players have where they're using that Reaper and like, I wouldn't say they're using them in late game compositions, but they're using them in the kind of like early to mid game transition where they maybe get out some of those Hellions or maybe they get out that big Marine pressure or something. And the Reaper can either come back in for a scout later on or they can just use the grenades and really mess with the AI for like roaches. And I really actually like that transition because I really do think that the KDA charges are great at that. Oh, almost gets that drone.
Yeah, nice denial, though, initially for that hatchery. Of course, the Reaper's not going to die for it, so like I said, not getting a chance to actually scout. Scouting the third base of the... Oh, my goodness, the intention for our third base is enough, though, for LabyRinth, who is actually getting the Reaper to survive. Wow.
Well played, LabyRinth.
Wow.
He is impressing me, man.
Yeah. Alright, so LabyRinth once again starts off his build with a Widow Mine. Just interesting little, I guess, stylistic switch for him. Can't really say it's a good or a bad thing. He still survived that last game with early game aggression, so it's probably just, you know, he likes doing it. He's going to go for an attack, however, figuring out the third base is down. Soulkey does throw down a Baneling Nest, by the way, too, so this isn't 2-base lair. It's not 3-base roaches. It is just going to be that Mutilating Bling style, which can be very dangerous against a push of LabyRinth whenever he's actually ready to go, and he is adding on those barracks, so gonna start stim soon. This push just goes to clean up creep.
Yeah, I mean, cleaning the creep, especially going to the third expansion, would be a really, really big deal since LabyRinth does want to go for a bit of that pressure. Managed to get a couple of active creep tumors and sets up in a nice, annoying position where Soulkey is going to have a bit of trouble engaging into this. I'm sort of surprised to see him go after this with these Zerglings, but it looks like it's enough.
Oh, geez, that medevac was so low. Great target fire from Soulkey to really give LabyRinth some pause whether or not he could pick up or not. But the tank is feeling kind of lonely, you know? Like, usually it's 2 tanks, not just a single one, and this was a little bit dangerous from LabyRinth to push out like that. He also only had 1 barracks. Usually it's 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 4 is a little bit weird to see. And not quite the production that you want off of 2 bases fully saturated. But he's really going quite far with this, and this is not the game I was quite describing. Usually it's that direct push that kind of skirts these rocks and goes up to this ledge right here to abuse. Going towards the third base, there's not really as many abusive ledges, unless you pick up and go over here to the other base, but Soulkey isn't quite prepared for this. He does have some Banelings, no speed.
Well, these Banelings gotta be going straight into the Liberator zone. Liberator not focus firing down the Banelings though. And it looks like, Baneling's actually going off on the tank, but he's still gonna have way more than he needs to actually clean this up.
Yeah, I really wish, if he was gonna do that push, I really wish he had prepared his medevac, because that was sniped and that led to the tank's ultimate demise. But oh well. The Spore Cloud being prepared for this is really nice. Nice read from Soulkey. So LabyRinth, he still has a 2-base attack, and he does have that 5th and final barracks finally getting a reactor. But his stim is pretty late, so combat shields will be too. And Soulkey, as opposed to feeling like really pressured, like, oh my god, I got the mutas out, and he's going to push me soon, and it's going to be so worrisome because it's going to be a good push. He already cleaned up this earlier, smaller push pretty easily, and should be having a lot of peace of mind as he goes into mutas.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really nice spot where the Mutals can immediately just go across the map and they don't have to worry about, oh man, like you were saying, like the drops are coming or the big harassment wave number 2 is going to be coming. Although, as I say that, LabyRinth is going to be pushing out across the map. Now, the nice thing is also Soulkey actually has some decent creep spread, so LabyRinth is going to have to be a little bit careful about how quickly he moves onto creep, and this is, of course, going to buy more time for Banelings and other things to be finishing up right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Stim isn't done, and of course, Combat Shields isn't either, so LabyRinth can't really commit. Especially, as you said, the creep spread not only forcing you to scan, wait a while, but is also, like, stopping him from getting into an abusive position, which is this ledge. This is still pretty wide open.
Yeah. I also like, I mean, it's a small and kind of obvious thing, I think, for a lot of players, but just not grabbing that kind of in-base third expansion is something I always like when Zerg players don't do that in these kind of spawns. There's no need to expand towards your opponent when you're going for this style.
Combat Shields finally starts, but LabyRinth is just constantly putting himself in very dangerous, wide open places that Soulkey could take advantage of to surround. But Soulkey is going to want to be very careful about that, as he's not quite past that point where you're like, you have a small bank of larvae too. If you do engage and it happens to go poorly, they're going to immediately like kill you basically, as you're still trying to rally forth and build banelings. So for him, defense is the way to go. He does need to clean it up eventually just to get a fourth base wherever he decides to take that fourth base.
Well, this is cute. Moving the Sea Shank around to the top side. Gotta be careful, though. Moves him maybe a little bit too preemptively ahead of those Marines. But should be able to shut down mining over here at this third.
Yep, this is a really nice position, especially with the rocks being automatically broken down now on the new layer lack. The muta count is not too shabby, so at 16 they can take on these drops that LabyRinth is attempting to do. They can sacrifice one or two of themselves to kill a tank if things get really dicey. And it's a lot of income lost. You know, the entire mineral line has to be taken off here. I mean, LabyRinth a bit of a burst.
Yeah, even having a bit of trouble knocking down these rocks, finally going to get them down, and here come in the Zergans and Banelings. And this is the nice thing over here for Soulkey. He's going to be able to clean this up guaranteed. There's no way almost any of these units are going to get out, including the medevacs.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be chased down, so not even the healthy one is going to get away. Round number 2 is almost ready to go, but he did halt medevac production or something while this was happening, so that was actually all of his medevacs. Oh no. Oh no.
That is really strange also, because I mean, not only is it all of his medevacs, he doesn't exactly have any liberators out just yet. His liberators are 2 liberators are going to be finishing up pretty soon, but he doesn't exactly have that much of an answer to the Mutalisks anymore, because yeah, sure, he has Marines and everything and they have 1/1 upgrades, but every time he stims, it's going to be really painful. He's going to be doing direct damage to his entire army that's not going to be healed.
Did he not notice that all the medevacs died? He's still putting liberators, which I mean, like, okay, maybe you can kill all of the mutas, but
I guess maybe he's saying, like, I don't have the opportunity to just stim and try and take out the Mutalisks. I need to get some sort of answer to them, because the Marines are going to be busy running away from these Banelings.
But he also can't maneuver his tanks around now, and his tanks are needed for the mass amount of Banelings. Very,
Oh god, and these Marines, the stim is going to wear off in a couple of seconds, and there it goes. If he tries to go in for another stim, this is just going to go really miserably.
Yeah, he loses the command center. More Banelings had to be made for Soulkey, who used most of them on those SCVs, 20 down. LabyRinth scans the wrong 4th base. I mean, with as good as Soulkey's been doing, he could have taken that one, I suppose, but this one's a lot safer. LabyRinth is also going into Drilling Claws, despite opening up with tanks, and I don't know how much I like that transition. Tanks are actually good versus both Roach Ravager and Needling Bling styles. They definitely come back into play thanks to the medevac drop, so no reason to worry about the potential change, but to transfer over to Drilling Claws is odd.
Yeah, Mutalisks got to be a little bit careful, since those Liberators can do a lot of damage when they're stacked up. But here we go, Soulkey, he's remade that giant massive Baneling count, is pumping out more Zerglings, and it's looking like he wants to go in for another round. He's up against a Terran that doesn't have a third, but I think that he just wants to try and take out this army to make sure that he never gets an opportunity to establish that third.
Yeah. Well, here comes the big old push. It's hitting right before his 2-2 is done, but right before LabyRinth's 2-2 is done as well, and he's just rolling, and he doesn't care. He's actually using Baneling some of those tanks. Not ideal. That's,
that was not a great engagement for Soulkey.
No, it was definitely one of those that was like, I'm winning, so let's just do it. So he doesn't win yet, but he's still winning.
Yeah, still very far ahead. I mean, it's still 16 to 29 workers. No third expansion still for LabyRinth. He floats over his main base command. Oh god, if this Liberators get taken out, there's still only 2 medevacs available, so these stims are really, really painful for LabyRinth. He actually can't heal up a majority of these Marines, and he can't even defend his main base right now.
These Liberators, they're constantly getting picked off. The media control from Soulkey has been pretty good. The Carapace upgrade actually coming in here. Interesting. Still investing into these. He's on 4 base. Not quite the gases up here yet. He does have another army ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, this Carapace upgrade to me is kind of one of those, you know, I'm really far ahead. What upgrades how can I spend my money right now? I have a lot of gas. Like, let me just start queuing up upgrades. Let's get Overlord drop. Let's get an Overlord with drop. Let's get pneumatized Carapace. Let's just get everything right now.
Well, if he's getting everything, he should probably look towards Infestation Pit, just in case this push didn't work. But there's no splash, other than, you know, the air and the mutas and the Liberators, but nothing on the ground. That's going to be it for LabyRinth in game number 2. That's going to type the series. GG.
This is a best of 5, of course, so we still have at least 2 more games left. Neither of these 2 players should feel too terrible about the situation, but yeah. Tying up the series 1-1, LabyRinth able to take the first game on Arena, but I wouldn't say like the most normal or neutral of maps, but still a slightly more normal map, like Crest. Soulkey is able to tie it up pretty dominantly, I would say.
The next map chosen by LabyRinth will be Dusk Towers. Another map that Soulkey could definitely go for Mutilating Bling. We're in game number 3 now. And it is on Dusk Towers. On the top right, evening up the game, evening up the series, it's the Blue Zerg Soulkey.
And on the other side of the map, the bottom left-hand corner, we have the red Terran player, the up-and-comer from Korea. It's LabyRinth.
Choosing Dusk Towers usually means you want that macro game, which I would think would be the scariest game to play against Soulkey, but LabyRinth's feeling it.
Yeah, you know, I guess like maybe just playing a little bit more conservatively against like the aggression that LabyRinth has been tossing out. But yeah, as you were saying, like I think that last game also just really demonstrated the scariness of Soulkey as he gets to the later stages of the game. But yeah, that's sort of funny because we still haven't seen Soulkey even try to go for like that late game ultra play that a lot of Terran players still even struggle with a bit today.
That's true. Haven't seen him try and get up there too quickly yet, but Soulkey was the original master of variety, I suppose, for Zerg when Legacy of the Void came out and he actually started appearing in tournaments. I mean, this guy went from being on top of the world, you know, GSL champion, everyone knew his name, everyone knew that he was a formidable opponent, to disappearing, basically, just straight up after joining TCM, and everyone figuring, I guess, that he retired, and then rumors that he actually said he was. And then he just kind of snuck his way back in, similar to Bjorn, just like, hey, I'm still here, so a couple of online cups. And he was showcasing a lot of just variety, like just, you know, Muta into Roach, Roach into Muta. He tried both of those first, I feel, when everyone else was convinced that Mutas were just no longer a thing. He had the fast Ultra style. He had the Muta Lane Bling on Dusk Towers. He was one of the first that I saw it from, like... He also was trying Banelings versus Protoss, like a lot of Overlord drops. Like he was so experimental, and it was a cool change than I guess the you know, the stoic Korean pro that we always talk about. He seems to always be doing the normal macro stuff.
Yeah, it's a nice that he's able to mix some of that in. He hasn't really been able to make a lot of his super early aggression work out in this particular series, but maybe we'll end up seeing something else work out a little bit later. Does, you know, have to make a couple of those Zergons to deal with the Reaper and everything. But overall, Soulkey maybe looking like he just wants to play out a nice macro game. As you were saying, Dusk Towers. It makes sense.
Well, LabyRinth going for... I don't know about just going for the same build 3 times in a row. It really worked out on game number 1. Game number 2, I think he actually played that very odd. Oh, the Reaper almost living again. What is with LabyRinth and Reapers? But yeah, game 2 was really odd. Larilac Crest, I think, could have been played stronger from the Terran, and instead there were some questionable move-outs. You know, like, the build wasn't bad, but it was like, the way that he chose to take engagements and move around the map was not what I expected from those spawns.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe... I actually forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry. I'm really tired. I had an interesting thought, I swear.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll come back.
Oh, I remember now. Yeah, I wonder if like maybe LabyRinth going for the, like this 1/1/1 Widowmine drop build again is sort of just showing that like, hey, he's not as experienced. It's like you were talking about how Soulkey is this player who is really, really well known. He's been around for a while. He got second place like more times than I think most people have even gotten to the like round of 8 in their life. And then you compare it against LabyRinth, who doesn't have that same level of experience or anything close to it. So maybe he is one of those players that's just like, look, this is the build that even if it's kind of not doing so well after that last game, this is the build that I'm going to play the best in. So I could try and change it up, but my mechanics or whatever, my build is going to suffer when I try and go for a different style.
That's a good point. So the Widowmine dropped to the face, basically, here, which Soulkey was not expecting. Kills an Overlord, kills a couple of Lings. Does not want to lose his Queen, so being very careful with those. The Banshee follow-up is mixing things up for LabyRinth, but I don't know how much damage he's going to do. I mean, he's already got Spore Crawlers, actually, so... even without, like, Spore Crawlers in every single base, you already get at least 1 or 2 because of Liberators being very popular on this map.
I was gonna say, like, not only the Liberators, but even, like, the potential for those Widow Mines to move around and, like, potentially be dropped in the mineral line. Like, you want that detection. So there's already so many different things that Soulkey's gonna have preparing, or a reason to prepare for them. But Overseer also coming out, I guess, just to make sure you can deal with those Widow Mines.
This is very, very odd. Now, Soulkey with the forward Spore Crawler, like, thank God for that, right? Like, this gives him such peace of mind against those Banshees, but... He went for double Engineering Bay plus the Armory at the same time, which is not how you really want to do it. It's almost like he wanted to wait for the Armory and turn these into Hellbats, but then went in just before it was done, so really missed that timing. He might just be wanting to go into Hellbats in general, which we saw Polt kind of experimenting with, bye Medevac, yesterday. But I don't, Hellbats just, they haven't really been the third option, you know, for quite some time. Back in Heart of the Swarm, people were trying it. Flash, I remember, like, really had a kick with it, but in general, it went to Widow Mines.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. I also sort of feel like with the way that the Hellions are positioned, everything, they were poking at the front until he went for the big medevac drop after he lost a lot of his Hellions. Like, I didn't really look to me like he was going to try and do the big run by. I think he was just trying to get pickoffs, but he kind of got caught a little bit too far out of position.
Yeah. That's the benefit of Hellions over Hellbats for sure. It's like you can actually hit and run against those Lings.
Yeah. Well, losing them does kind of sting a little bit, but, you know, Hellbats are going to be nice at least to prevent a big Zergling run by or big swing and attack for at least a little bit. In the meanwhile, the Mules are going to be coming out, though. And the anti-air is, I mean, yes, he has the missile turrets getting started now, and Stim is finishing up. But Stim is finishing up for all 4 of his Marines right now.
Oh boy. Here you go, guys. Yeah, that is a little silly. If Soulkey had done just a big old swamp of Baneling, which no one does anymore, basically, then he would have probably won. Like, that is such a Heart of the Swarm thing to do, is to be like, yeah, I'm totally playing a macro game. Psych! Tons of Banelings off of 3 base. You don't see that anymore, but the game, I think, is still going to go in favor of Soulkey, even if LabyRinth is going to get this time to get more Marines. He's getting +1 armor for his medevacs, I suppose, and it'll help everything, like Liberators and whatnot, but we do usually see the attack upgrade for either ships or ground, but he's just changing up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's getting the Marines, and of course he's also getting upgrades for them, but it's kind of like we were saying, getting that +1 armor, I guess it's also nice for the Widow Mines as well, right? The Widow Mines, because they'll just be taken out a little bit slower by those Zerglings, which maybe means they get their shot off because they actually burrow in time.
Yeah. So before Liberators came in, and I guess before tanks came in too. So basically back in Heart of the Swarm. You would go for the defense, the armor over everything, because it would help your Wintermines and your Medivacs and your Thors eventually. So, you know, kind of be worth it more than the attack. But now with tanks and Liberators being a thing, we usually see that attack, which he does go into immediately afterwards. So actually putting some priority on his armory upgrades is a little different from other Terrans.
Kind of cool to see. Creep spread is actually pretty decent over here. There's a lot of active creep tumors right now. There's an absurd number of active creep tumors over here for Soulkey, which is going to make it kind of hard for LabyRinth to do these small little pick-off forces to clean up the creep. In fact, yeah, he tries to send in forward a couple of these units and only manage to kill off 2 creep tumors.
Yeah. He is on a clock, too, already. That hive is almost done. And he's not pushing forward anytime soon. Oh, the beta count's gotten quite big, too.
Yeah, Soulkey's using a lot of his banelings to deal with just these very small groups of units, though, and he's not exactly running out of banelings right now. He still has 20 available, and he's making a ton more now, but he is kind of slowly losing them.
Well, LabyRinth's going for Drilling Claws, which I don't mind now, because he's going for Widow Mines. But, oh, Soulkey actually takes it. Oh my god! Oh, is that Widow Mine still alive? I don't know. Maybe that's it? 8 kills? Damn, that was huge.
That was a really big deal. A lot of banelings going down over there. Now, luckily for Soulkey, he did just make another 10 banelings, and he killed off a decent chunk of units over there. That Widow Mine doesn't get quite as good of a hit, and even with the reinforcements, I think LabyRinth is going to have a really hard time pushing on further. And as you were saying, Hive is finished up. Ultralisk Cavern is getting started. The clock is still ticking.
Yeah. Now, he did get a second starport already. So his Liberators won't take away from his medevac count too hard, especially because he hasn't lost any medevacs yet. Not as many medevacs anyways. His upgrades are still ahead too, which is sort of helpful. But Soulkey is actually right behind, as he feels quite confident that creep spread's still going strong. Boop, boop.
Yeah. Medevac dropping the main base, kills off a single drone, gonna get chased down by the Mutalisks, and I think the Mutalisks are gonna be able to take these guys out A-okay, no problem.
Yeah. LabyRinth pulling back, he recognizes the timing. He's got a 4th base that's going to turn into a planetary. He's ready to play the macro game against Ultras. So, well, we'll see what he looks like against Ultras. Some Terrans are actually fairly good. You know, they have good control, they have good positioning, they have good drops, and then, well, most other Terrans, even if they're prepared for it, seem to just kind of get wrecked by Ultras.
Yeah, ready for Ultras is I don't know, it's a strange thing, because yes, he is preparing to go to that later stage game. He's getting out a lot of those Liberators, but his Liberator count is not exactly amazing right now. In fact, the Liberator count, I would say it's like okay for maybe dealing with the Mutalisks, but when these Ultras come out, he's really going to be relying quite heavily on that Planetary Fortress being repaired and soaking up a lot of damage.
Yeah. Drop in the main, really doing some nice work here, just continually poking in and out. Maybe gonna get an Orville or 2, maybe. But the Ultralisk Cavern, there's the plating. It's not being touched. It's the important thing here. Drones is, yeah, it's actually okay to kill 7. Soulkey still at 68 on 5 bases. LabyRinth, though, getting a 5th base. Like, he really is trying to play this late game style, which, well, might work out for him. That is a lot of Liberators.
We're down to 1 medevac again, because he's been going out with all these drops. He keeps losing them. This is, okay, well, your stims are going to be very costly right now, LabyRinth. I hope you're ready to make use of them.
Yeah. Looks like Soulkey wants to push in here. Oh dear. Oh, okay. Liberators go off to the right side. That does, you know, really scare the Mutas away, but they weren't ready for this attack. Oh, Jesus. Oh.
These banelings are not able to get the connections. They're trying really, really hard. The Planetary Fortress. Okay, we'll kill off some of these SCVs is going to be nice. And the Ultralisk may be able to clean this up now, maybe? No.
No. But, like, dang, those Marines were barely stimmed away in time. They're about to take banelings to the face, and that would have been totally worth it for Soulkey. But in the end, LabyRinth takes a much better fight, actually. And Soulkey doesn't have that much of a bank. Widow Mines do fine. They do okay against Ultras. Liberator combo will kill them, get the last shots, and LabyRinth is pushing out without medevacs. That looks
god, these two Ultralisks is nothing to actually kill them. These Marines are going to take such a long time. They're just getting massacred. The SCV count is starting to dwindle really quickly, too.
The no medevac Marine run-by is looking very odd here. The Liberators covering will be able to take care of their Marines a little bit, but Corruptors pop, and none of these are in anti-air mode. Marines,
Those
go!
two Ultralists are still there! Like, I know that this attack is going on the other side of the map with the Liberators, but that's gonna get cleaned up. And the two Ultralists just waltz into the main base. It's just like, hey, are you out of units to attack me with? I guess I can just go into your main. I'll just start killing stuff there.
Oh, Marines still like 0 damage to these Ultras, but they still are able to clean them up. They're already so low. But everything's cleaned up on the other side too, so that was LabyRinth's entire Liberator count. Okay, well maybe actually a couple got away. But they did call him a little bit. And, well, this game is pretty even. LabyRinth needs maybe more workers as he gets to a 5th base. That's one thing. And, well, Soulkey needs another army, which he is trying to get up to with upgrades this time.
Yeah. It's nice that Soulkey was able to actually save the expansion.
Oh no, cancel that! Oh, okay, that's down.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Losing that CC. Really didn't need to lose that. As you were saying, like, he could have canceled it, could have lifted it off, could have saved it. But, well, LabyRinth, his economy's not looking so hot right now.
No, it isn't. No, he can lift his main, he can lift his natural, but that's not ideal. And, his third's actually looking still pretty healthy, but Soulkey is on 5 bases, maybe looking towards a 6th soon. Has Corruptors now instead of Mutas, which are going to deal a lot better with the Liberators. Still be able to clean up Medivacs too.
Losing that Medivac full units, that is a bit painful, because again, LabyRinth, he has 3 Medivacs out. He's definitely increased his Medivac count, but if he loses any more of these Medivacs to the Corruptors in this engagement, oh boy, is he going to be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, this engagement's not going so well.
Oh, that Widowmine shot was a huge betrayal for LabyRinth.
Yes, it was. The Corruptors take care of the Liberators, and the Ultras just walked past the Liberator line anyways, and that's the danger of having Liberators out in the open. You just walk past it, and you know, chomping away at that bio. It's like Liberators, they can be good against Ultras, obviously. They do a lot of damage, but I still am not convinced that they're the choice.
I mean, the problem is that the Ultralists just don't stay in the Liberator range. They just keep moving past, and even if you have some Marines or Marauders or something to try and act as a tanking force, like, the Ultras just cleave through them so quickly.
Yeah. They do run past Liberator Zone this time, so one of them goes down, but still 3 alive here. 3 more Liberators pop out, could siege up on the ramp, but the Corruptors are still alive. They're tearing them down. This is going to be it for LabyRinth.
Oh, it's going to be hard to clean up these Ultralists, especially with the Liberators being taken out by the Corruptors. Medivacs being taken out. It's only just going to be units that are popping out now. There's a total of 1 Viking, 3 Liberators, and 2 Marines out. And I don't think any of them can actually kill these Ultralists.
Yeah. He's just Widowmines over here. A couple of Queens coming forward too, looking for transfuses. LabyRinth, he probably knows its game, but hoping that in like in Heart of the Swarm, you could over-dedicate with Ultras and Corruptors, but Corruptors can actually pee on things now. Ultras have really insane armor. The Planetary goes down, and that's definitely it. GG.
Soulkey, once again, winning one of those late-game games. I've got to hand it to LabyRinth, though. It was that mid to late-ish game attack. I won't really call it a mid-game attack because the Ultralists were out. That LabyRinth handled really, really well, despite not having that many Medivacs, despite having a lot of things that were really concerning me. I was impressed with how well he handled that. That almost brought him back in the game.
Yeah. But it's just, Liberators, they're tough to actually use against those Ultras unless the Zerg player just goes into them, you know? But as that was game number 3, we're going to take a very quick commercial break as we wait for the map choice. So we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. We're on Prion Terraces. This is LabyRinth's map choice. In the top left, he's up 2-1. It's the red Zerg Soulkey.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Terran player, the up-and-comer. It's LabyRinth. I also want to give a quick shout out to Elson1337. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel.
Thank you, thank you. We're getting to
clap. Do you do like the actual Teja clap? Do you do like the hands together, like clapping for yourself kind of thing?
Sometimes. Usually it's just a casual. Coach Cash, you know.
Well done, well done.
Yeah.
Good show.
Looks like we missed a Meat Brawl resubbing for 3 months. Thank you so much.
Oh. Very nice. one quick thing that I guess we never actually mentioned was, of course, this is one of the semifinals for the Olimoleague, and the other semifinals is pretty much ready and rearing to go. It's going to be Gumiho versus Horror. So we got another TvZ, despite the fact that we had 3 Protoss here today. All of them end up losing.
Oh, wow. Wow. You're right. Well, this is how it should be. It's the Olimoleague finals after all.
Yeah, well, I guess Blaze actually didn't end up showing up today, so that is, I guess technically only 2 of the Protoss lost today.
Okay. Yeah,
Hurricane and Patience.
So not quite
Two
as...
really good Protoss. 2 really good Protoss lost today.
Not quite as imbalanced. Yeah. Well, you know, Horror does a lot of all-ins, which is, you know, Protoss's weakness right now. That's some revenge right there for, like, Wings of Liberty, right? And, well... Patience, as we saw, we cast Gumiho versus Patience, just not quite up to it versus Terran.
Yeah, I mean, he managed to hold off one of the 1-base builds.
Yeah.
Well.
Those all-ins didn't work out for him. Oh well.
Yeah. Alright, well, we got a couple of Zergons coming out right now. I guess drone's following up. I had them every single time I see, like, 6 Zergons with production tab, and I'm just like, wait a second. Is he doing something? Is he up to something? No. Never is.
Preon Terraces, of course, the gold base is at the natural now. Does usually go into roaches, and we do see Soulkey getting a roach warren right here. In fact, this might be the map where we see the least amount of needling bling. Surprisingly, because it's not like that short of a map, but I guess it's just everyone prefers the roaches for it. Also, a really early evo chamber. Huh.
Oh, this is... Do you think this might be roach drops? I mean, this is a really nice map in general for Overlord drops.
I don't know. The thing about lane drops is that even if you have the units to counter them, they get everywhere. You know, like main, natural, SCVs that are building stuff, Marines that are off to the side. Roaches won't get everywhere. They'll be consolidated, they'll be in one place, and if you have the units, then you'll be ready to go. But you might still be right, and with LabyRinth going for Hellions rather, just in general, those are going to go too well against roaches. The Banshees will.
Oh, Reaper is still alive, though. I love the zoning that Soulkey is doing. He even comes in with the second queen. Is able to push this Reaper back and prevent it from getting the scat off on the Roach Warren, or even the gas geysers or anything that could have tipped him off.
Nice. So this is only going to be one Overlord, and I think he's going to put all of his roaches into this Overlord and just elevates. Oh, Reaper see it.
Reaper runs past these roaches. He's going to have some time to reposition his units, but he's not doing it. I think that he's anticipating this is going to be from the front, but he doesn't realize that it's an Overlord drop.
Maybe now?
Oh.
No. Yeah, he still thinks it's from the front. He's pulling his SCVs back.
He's pulling his SCVs back. Is he just abandoning the gold and like thinking that the attack is going to come in from the front, or is he trying to defend the main?
Well, he has SCVs pulled now, so I think he's going to try and defend the main. But the Banshee should be over here. Yeah, there you go. There we go. And it was the elevate option for Soulkey. So that's going to be a lot of roaches. He has a bunker already prepared too. So this is some really nice reaction. Because the thing is, even if it's most of the pressure to the main base, yeah, Soulkey can just put, you know, units in the natural too. So pulling the SCVs back was the best option.
Yeah, and now pulling the SCVs, I actually don't even know if the SCVs are necessary right now. The roaches are going to do a little bit of damage, but the Banshee is definitely going to clean this up eventually. Have to be a little bit careful with your siege tank. Oh, that kind of stings to lose that, but yeah, this is going to be a pretty quick cleanup.
Yeah, the 2 Banshees really helping out here. A couple of SCVs did go down. You can save the roaches with your Overlord. And the gold minerals have not been mined, so Soulkey did take a huge spike in income, because of course he's, you know, laughing, happily mining off of this gold.
Well, Soulkey, I don't think that he's going to be too happy with how this attack went. He kills off a couple of workers, 6 workers killed. But now he has to make defenses against the Banshees that have Cloak, by the way, and he doesn't have a lair tech, so he has to invest in all of these Spore Crawlers, which there we're finally starting to see some of them drop. But that's the thing about Banshees versus like Liberators. There's a much bigger area where Banshees can find little places that they can actually still make damage happen. Versus Liberators, I think it's a lot easier to just be like, okay, I have 2 Spore Crawlers. You're probably not going to get any damage done.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting, just kind of like, I don't think you have anything, let me push. Doesn't have any upgrades, a single tank, doesn't even have a medevac to help carry it around, a couple of Hellions, because why not? Soulkey looks like he's going to be okay losing this third. I said that because he's going for a Nidus Worm, but using the Queen to try and hold this off, if they do die, those are pretty critical for the Nidus, so...
Oh.
He was not anticipating the rest of the units, I guess. Comes from behind with the Roaches, almost gets the tank, he's so close, gets it.
Oh, he's gonna end up losing, I think, all these Queens, though, in the meanwhile, because these Marines, these Banshees are gonna be able to chase them down, and there's still no detection for these Banshees. They're gonna go uncontested against all of these Roaches now, until they get into the range of the Spore Crawler.
Oh, the fact that he lost those Queens are so important. They have to transfuse the Nidus, and of course, they still have to be there to attack the Banshees with the Nidus. Like, the Banshees will definitely come back, but Soulkey's gonna try and do the Nidus anyways. LabyRinth does see it. He's set up. He's trying to.
Yeah, he's sieging up his siege tank. He's actually not going to go directly after the Nidus Worm, so maybe not realizing that he did kill off, like, almost every single one of the Queens is... Yeah, there's only 4 Roaches in this attack!
Oh. A single
Like,
Queen.
He leaves the 3rd expansion alive!
Yeah.
He's coming back with his Banshees!
Yeah, I did notice that, too. So, Soulkey could maybe macro out of this, especially once the, now that the Banshees are pretty much cleaned up. He has more Spore Crawlers, he has more Queens. These Spore Crawlers on the offense is really funny to see. They'll be able to take care of the Banshees. I think you can still snipe the Nidus, though.
The Nidus Worm. Yeah, killing off the Nidus Worm is going to be a really, really nice
one
one after he kills off the Queens, but... Ooh, gotta keep those siege tanks alive.
The 2 siege tanks should be good. With 2 medevacs, this should be... They should never die. But a couple of SCVs are still going down. Should never die! Okay, there we go. And they are both now on 3 bases. The Nidus Worm is still alive, but I don't know if Soulkey really wants to commit to more units.
I mean, the reality is that even though that attack on the other side of the map that LabyRinth did killed off a lot of units and killed off the Queens and everything, Soulkey keeps the hatchery alive, and he didn't exactly lose any workers. I kind of feel like he's still very much okay. Although losing all of these Roaches without doing much damage really does sting.
Right, like if he didn't commit to these Roaches again, I think like, okay, maybe he can actually make something work here, but he's going to be down in upgrades, down in tech, and...
oh, he's committing more!
He's going to lose his 3rd now. Boom, boom, splat, splat.
Yeah, just imagine if those Queens that had gone to the Nidus Worm were ready and there to defend against the Banshee. Maybe and throw up a transfuse or something. Sure, LabyRinth gets up the 3rd, but GG gets called. LabyRinth ties up the series 2-2.
Ooh, ace match time. Interesting. Expected Soulkey to 3-0 this guy.
I'm trying to think, and I believe it was on a most recent episode of the Late Game or something, where oh my god, I'm totally blanking on who the Zerg was, but there was a Zerg player saying that like one of the Korean Zergs, and I think he was talking about Soulkey. My memory's a little bit hazy, and also it's like 6:30 in the morning for me. But I think he was saying like, you know, Soulkey hasn't really been getting as many of the big results lately, or like hasn't really been doing quite as well. I think you mentioned like he's been kind of coming back a little bit with just a huge variety of play and everything. But he hasn't been looking to be that strong, dominating force that would get 2nd place all the time. That sounds so funny to say. That strong, dominating force that would always lose to the person who got 1st every time.
Excuse you.
But yeah, like it's a, I guess, sort of just showing like even though Soulkey's looking a lot better, still struggling a little bit.
Yeah. Well, LabyRinth has been on the up and up. The games are not the most, like, the tip-top of skill here, just back and forth, just brute force, but they have been interesting, and there have been good moves from both parties, and bad moves from both parties.
Yeah.
So they do seem evenly matched, get to the ace match. Now, they've already won $50 for getting this far, which is pretty cool. They do want to, of course, go on to the grand finals, however. The other semifinal will be Gumio versus Horror, their TvZ.
Absolutely. I like what Aerodaz was saying. He said I accidentally said Slowkey, which I guess is a really cute insult to actually make to Soulkey. He's Slowkey to transition out.
Yeah. Soulkey needs a minute, looks like, before he chooses the map.
You might say that he's Slowkey to get the game started.
You might. Actually, it's the Olimoleague, so we should probably go over this. Excuse me, there are only 5 maps in the Olimoleague, so very different tournament structure. So You're gonna ask, like, well, isn't there a best of 7 in the grand finals? Yes, there is. And if it goes to game number 6, you do replay a map. So I gotta figure out which map they didn't play on. Ruins? They didn't play on Ruins, right?
No, nah. Wait a second. Oh, there was a match on Ruins today.
That was Gumi versus Patience, though.
Yeah.
I
think you're right. No. Yes. Yes.
Okay, they were on Dusk Towers, they were on Freon just now, they were on Arena, and Laralac, they already played too. So it's gotta be correct. Ruins. Alright, ace match. Got those emotes going down in chats. 2-2. And the Olimoleague finals. The top right, as the red Zerg, he's TCM Soulkey.
And in the top left, we have the purple Terran player, LabyRinth.
I guess one thing we haven't talked about for this cast has been the Patreon. So if you're new to the Olimoleague, and most of you know the deal already, but just in case, there is a Patreon, patreon.com/Olimoleague, and it's for the Olimoleague. This is entirely crowdfunded by you guys every week. Really awesome stuff. It's been going for over a year, which is super impressive, and we do have pretty big plans for it looking forward to this year. But if you're looking for maybe the replays, for instance, we don't actually give those out as BaseTradeTV, which you guys are used to. Olimoleague does. So I think it's like the $30 option, something like that. You can check it out, and you can actually get these really awesome replays. There's a ton of other options too that you can look to, but of course, I think the main benefit is that you're supporting a really awesome tournament for these Korean pros.
Absolutely. There's some really cool rewards. I think there's even a reward or two on there about like you'll cast a game if people donate such and such amount. So if you guys want Zombie Grub or someone to cast your game, then that's another thing you can do. There's a couple other cool rewards on there. And of course, if you want to be a big donator, you can always try and do the monthly sponsorship, or sorry, the weekly sponsorship.
A lot of different options. So if you're interested, check it out. But it's awesome just to see that it's been going for over a year. We've had, you know, some low points in the prize pool, some really high points in the prize pool. Right now, we're actually at a pretty good points, which is amazing to see. Just very consistent supporters. Thanks to everyone who does. I technically do it like $1 a week. Hype. Go me. But it's been awesome. Great tournament.
Yeah. All right, so we're starting to see a little bit more of these builds as they're starting to shape up. Natural expansion going down over here for LabyRinth. He's going for the Marines, and well, actually, no, I was going to say for going the Reaper. I was like, wait a second. No, Reaper is already on its way across the map.
Of course, he knows where his opponent is, just through, you know, process of elimination here, as his SCV scouts did not see it first. Fortunate for him. But the Reaper gets in here. Ling's got to tango with it for a little while. There's that first blood. Queen's not quite out. The drones actually have to tango with this too a little bit. Ooh.
This Reaper is getting some nice damage done. 2 kills already.
Yeah. And 2 build cancels. Would have been great to have a kill, but Soulkey was on top of things.
Well, Zergling speed is going to be finishing up pretty early on in this game, so Reaper should be able to do a whole lot more. But the follow-up behind this, it's not going to be any of the Hellings or anything. It's going to be Widow Mines, as well as, once again, Starport. So going for those Widow Mine drops. LabyRinth is really sticking to his guns on this.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 games, I think. So, really likes this build. Now, Soulkey, you know, he tried something a little funky, a little weird last game, and unfortunately it was scouted. That was like the biggest thing, was that the Reaper saw the roaches, he was able to get a bunker, he was able to pull back his SCVs. That was already going to be a hard game for Soulkey. He plays a macro game, or he does maybe a cleaner cheese, you know, actually kills the Reaper. What is with LabyRinth and barely keeping these Reapers alive? Damn! I think Soulkey will do a lot better. But damn, man.
He has been doing an awesome job with that. It reminds me again of that Laralac Crest game where he just barely kept it alive. I don't think we ended up seeing it being used too much later on, but I'd love to see it, especially since I'm still waiting for the day where that Reaper stays alive and becomes incredibly useful in the main engagement, where the Banelings, like, maybe they don't have Baneling speed research just yet. He throws down the KD8 charge and it messes with all the Banelings. They all just go flying. He ends up losing more of the Banelings because they all take damage. Like, I'm waiting for that day to happen.
One day, man. We have a drop as expected, but not as expected, is the Hellion Banshee follow-up. So Hellbat Banshee, excuse me, is like that armory on the way, so a lot more powerful. Now, Soulkey's been getting very cautious Baneling nests, so he'll have the option to get Banelings, just a question of does he, as he's not scouted this.
Yeah, Lair's not finished up either, so that means that this Widow Mine is going to be a little bit annoying for a while. Overlord's also going to be target fired down by some of these Marines in the main base. He's going to be able to get one of them, unload or load up and head over to the third. And as you were saying, like this not just the Hellbat Banshee, but like with Cloak also finishing up with Stim. Okay, Stim is going to be much further delayed, of course. That's the big cost of a lot of this, is that Stim is going to be so far delayed, but he might be able to make a lot of big damage happen over here. Soulkey really is not prepared for this.
No, he's making Banelings right now, but they are a little late. The Banshee's going to come in too, unexpected for Soulkey, and it is going to have Cloak. I don't know, is this Soulkey's weakness? He's not doing such a terrible job initially, a good concave with the Queens. Banelings now rolling in. All he needs is an Overseer. He has a lair.
Yeah, I guess he's still... Yeah, okay, there it is. Banshee gonna go focus fire down very quickly. Oh my god, Banshee gets taken out. And a majority of the push gets cleaned up. That's actually a bit surprising. I was actually really worried there for Soulkey.
Yeah, with how late his Banelings were, but they connected well. The Queen defense was really quite good, and two more Hellions unfortunately look a little bit useless. I think he got a second Banshee. Yeah, he just pulls it back. Good move there. Can be used defensively, or it could just go in later and try and pick off some drones. But now Soulkey has, once again, that peace of mind that he had in, I think, the second game, where he can go for a Spire and not have to worry about a follow-up push, because Stim was something that you had to push off for a very long time to go for both Banshees and Hellbats.
Yeah, I mean, that awkward moment when your opponent doesn't go for a fast 2-base Spire play, and yet Stim is finishing up at the same time as the Spire. It's going to be a really weird situation. And not only that, but like when you invest in all those Banshees and everything, that also does cut into your medevac production. So first two medevacs are going to be popping out around the same time that the Mutals are going to be starting up. So they're not going to be able to do that big drop damage that I think they want to.
Yeah. Upgrades are also delayed here for LabyRinth, who has one engineering bay. And of course that third command center is also delayed. So this is not looking so great for LabyRinth. Soulkey looking very powerful. Going to take a lot of control over this game with creep spread as well. And I don't know, LabyRinth might have to just kind of realize that he has like one good push in him, and then it's going to, you know, just spiral out of control. Soulkey's going to have a max out mutilating Blaying army, he's going to have ultras or something, and it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, he's trying to get up this third expansion. If he can make some damage happen and, you know, take out a lot of Soulkey's army or do some damage to the third expansion of the natural, deny a fourth for a little bit, he can maybe still make this work. I mean, he's not exactly sitting too terribly on the worker counts. 49 workers, but he did cut workers as well, which, I don't know, to me it's sending slightly mixed signals. Like, he wants to make some aggression happen, but he's also getting the third, and he wants to transition out behind it.
That is a lot of mutas on the way. Going up to, actually, 12... from the get-go is pretty darn nice for Soulkey. This push is very, very small, but Soulkey was not quite prepared. He's actually skipping centrifugal hooks. I don't know if he realized that or did that on purpose. But, Banelings get in here a little bit. That tank was pretty good. The splits were pretty good too, yeah. Still a lot of creep to go through.
Oh, this is a lot of creep to finish up. He's got to at least move in, I think, with one or two more scans before you can actually get into the third expansion safely without just going straight onto creep. But Banelings don't have centrifugal hooks, like you said, but they still get the connections they need.
Yeah, a lot because LabyRinth did not split at all for that, so just took it to the face. You got some Lings going off to the south side, going to try and get into that third base whenever LabyRinth is stuck in the middle of the map. LabyRinth realizing that maybe the push is not going to work, does back off. It's going to give Soulkey a lot of time to get whatever he wants. In this case, it is a fourth base for now, as well as the upgrade started.
Yeah, but I mean, Soulkey, he's sitting at 65 drones. He's getting up a fourth expansion. He's in an okay spot that he doesn't have to make any more workers. He can just continue to pump out units, and this next big attack is going to be hitting with centrifugal hooks. And LabyRinth may be struggling a little bit with this if he's not prepared for it. Of course, like, relying on your splits is going to be very, very important and everything. But I really do feel like Soulkey still has a really scary army right now. Is going to be able to do a very scary push.
Yep. The Thor comes out here is a little interesting to see, but Thor is not entirely dead yet. Does have a lot of health. It can actually soak up a couple of banelings. It does provide that splash against the mutas, even though he's also going for liberators. And he is going for a second starport too. No fourth base yet, so I think he's going to do at least one more push before Hive is out, and Hive's not even started yet, so...
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about the Thors in TvZ these days? I see them sometimes, but a lot of the time I feel like they don't necessarily do the same job that they did in Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Storm.
They don't. You know, that's maxed out Marine, some Marauder, Thor, Medevac. It's not really a thing anymore. The Widowmine has been, partially replaced by the tank. It doesn't do so well against the Ultras late games. It's always a little hesitant to go for them. And the Thors are they're big, they're bulky, they're expensive, they're better units now. It's not a bad addition, per se, but you could argue there's better use for the factory. Because even tanks in high numbers can do okay against Ultras, which is really the worry for Terran these days.
Yeah, it's a bit funny how that works out, but here we go. Banelings coming in from the north and the south side. They're pushing on in. They're getting some okay connections, but LabyRinth splits relatively well and forces us back. A lot of the Banelings still manage to survive for Soulkey. They're a little bit later to come on in, but the Mutalists also stay intact.
Yeah. That could have been a dangerous attack had Soulkey not been on 4 bases with a bit of a bank and a lot of creep spread to fall back on.
Yeah.
Give away all your Banelings and you could be in trouble, but does okay. He's going to have his upgrades. He does have his Hive about done. And LabyRinth, I thought he was going to maybe do another push. Guess not. He's setting up for that late game.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, I think, right now, right? You're getting your upgrades going pretty quickly right now. And LabyRinth is eventually going to get to that max out position. Once he maxes out, that's when he can make that big push out across the map with a really solid Liberator count, with the Marine count, the Medevac count, and everything else just building up.
Up to 22 mutas, actually. He'll want to start replacing those with Corruptors, as he did on that game on Dusk Towers. But for now, as long as he controls them well, they'll still be pretty important. Expanding towards Soulkey is not a bad idea, because this will also give him a bit of a, you put the tanks right here, they have a ramp to go on, they have some SimCity to go on, it's going to be helpful against the Ultras. Well, over here, they just would be surrounded.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of take back what I was saying about having the time to max out. I thought he would maybe have an extra minute or so, but with the Ultras Cavern finishing up, this is going to be really cutting it close if he wants to go for any kind of aggression. And this is another thing we were talking about, like, where he took a pretty good engagement, I think, on the game on Dusk Towers, I believe it was, against, like, the Ultras and everything. But I don't think the Liberators were really the reason for that. And once again, he's going for this very Liberator-heavy style.
Oh, no.
And I'm curious if it's going to work out.
That feeling when... Or the mutas don't do anything. Oh, no, they see it, yeah. That feeling when you send out a Medevac and the mutas are right there. Womp womp. So Soulkey is maxed out. He'll be wanting to do another push here, obviously to get the Ultras. All of his upgrades... Ooh, that is a scary production tab. 3/3, plus 2 Carapace. Okay, displating. Yeah.
Cadmus plating is going to be finishing in about 30-ish seconds right now. Soulkey is just gearing up for the big attack, and LabyRinth setting up for a defensive position. Oh, the Banelings and Zergans moving on in before, I guess, some of those upgrades finish up. Kind of surprising, but they still managed to get some pretty decent connections.
Yeah, that was really difficult. Of course, the mutas did get shreked by the Liberators, but the Banelings took out most of the Bioforce. Tried to cover everything, but that was a very large-scale battle. But that is where Soulkey now replaces the mutas with Corruptors. He wanted to do that anyways. He replaces his ground force with a lot of Ultras. Like, he is still good to go, and LabyRinth is going to desperately try and attack here, but, like, with pure Liberators...
I mean, I guess if you have enough Liberators, you can take out those Corruptors very quickly and just... I don't know, like, that's another one of the problems, right? Is even if, the Liberators are setting up, awesome. What are the Ultralists going to do about this? There's no reason for them to stick around and try and defend, right? You might as well just try and gear up for the attack.
Yeah. Drop over here is killing some drones. The army supply is pretty even right now, but I never think that army supply really reflects how good ultras are. No, but we'll see. LabyRinth is on 4 bases. He's trying to get Remax as well, though it's a lot slower for him. Still down by 20 SCVs. His economy has just been, oh god, in the gutter compared to Soulkey's this entire game.
Yeah. I especially agree with what you were saying about the army supply and everything. I kind of feel like Legacy of the Void, the army supply has become much less relevant. Oh, these Marines.
Rip.
That's kind of painful, losing those. But, yeah, I think there's just, like, way more power units, like the Ultralists, like Disruptors, Lurkers, etc. But Soulkey gonna be taking the series 3-2 and moving on to those grand finals.
Yeah. They made that last game look easy enough, but that was the ace game, so just congratulations to LabyRinth for getting that far versus Soulkey and also getting to the semifinals. Of course, playing enough Olimoleagues to get here at all is cool, but getting $50 is cooler. Soulkey will go on to the grand finals to face the winner of Gumiho versus Horror, which we'll be getting into next. Another best of 5 coming up, hopefully soon. Actually, hopefully right after these 2-minute ads, so see you then.